Have you ever woken up in the dead of night, heart pounding like a drum in a thriller movie, staring at the ceiling while the man beside you snores peacefully, oblivious to the storm raging inside you? What if the person you vowed to love forever turned out to be your greatest betrayer? And now, every touch feels like a lie. Imagine clinging to a marriage that's crumbling like a house of cards in a hurricane. All because walking away means shattering everything you've built, including the innocent lives depending on you. But what if that desperation ignites a fire you can't ignore? A hunger that whispers revenge in your ear while your body aches for something real, something forbidden? That's where I found myself, Jennifer, at 33, teetering on the edge of a cliff I never saw coming. And trust me, once you hear what happened next, you'll wonder, could you hold back? Or would you leap? It all started innocently enough, or so I thought. Picture this, a cozy suburban home in a quiet neighborhood. The kind where kids ride bikes until dusk and neighbors wave over white picket fences. That's where I lived with Mark, my husband of 8 years, and our 2 little ones, Emma, our spirited 6-year-old with curls that bounced like her endless energy, and little Tommy, just turning 4, with eyes that mirrored his dad's mischievous grin. I was knee-deep in nursing school, chasing a dream I'd put on hold for motherhood. Mornings blurred into lectures on anatomy and patient care, afternoons into chaotic pickups from daycare, and nights into stolen moments of study under the dim kitchen light. Mark worked as a sales rep, traveling often, but he was my rock, or so I believed. He'd bring home takeout on tough days, massage my shoulders while I crammed for exams, and whisper promises of a better future once I graduated. "We've got this, Jen," he'd say, his voice warm like a blanket on a cold night. But beneath that facade, cracks were forming, invisible at first, like hairline fractures in glass before it shatters. June 2024 hit like a plot twist in a suspense novel. I remember the day vividly, the air thick with summer humidity, the scent of blooming jasmine wafting through our open windows. I was scrolling through my phone during a rare break, checking emails, when a notification popped up from an unfamiliar app on Mark's Insta account. Curiosity tugged at me. I clicked, expecting nothing more than spam. But there it was. Messages, dozens of them, laced with affection that wasn't mine. "Can't wait to see you again, baby," one read from a woman named Lisa. Photos followed, intimate, stolen moments in hotel rooms, her laughter captured in selfies with him. My stomach dropped, the world tilting on its axis. A year-long affair? Right after I started school, when I was most vulnerable, pouring my soul into building our future. I confronted him that night, tears streaming, voice cracking like thunder. He denied at first, then crumbled, sobbing apologies on our living room floor. "It was a mistake, Jen. Stress from work. I love you, only you." The kids were asleep upstairs, unaware, but their presence loomed like ghosts in the room. How could I rip their world apart? No childcare, no steady income, yet I'd have to drop out, start over from scratch. So, I forgave him, or tried to. We went to counseling, rebuilt routines, but the scar festered, hidden under forced smiles and mechanical hugs. Fast forward to now, October 2025, and the air in our home feels heavier, charged with unspoken resentments. Graduation looms in December, a beacon of independence I've clawed toward. But Mark, he's reverted, like a villain unmasking in the second act. Verbal jabs slice through dinners. "You're always studying. Never here for us," escalating to threats when anger boils over. "If you leave, you'll regret it," he snarled last week after a fight over bills, his face twisted in a way that chilled me. "I've decided. I'm out. Packing mental bags. plotting escapes in whispers to myself. But here's the confession that burns hottest, the one that keeps me up at night time making. Desperately horny, craving touch like a desert wanderer thirsts for water. My sex drive has always been high, a fire that once fueled our passion. Now, sleeping with him feels like betrayal to myself. After everything, his hands on me, they repulse, reminders of lies. Yet the longing gnaws, a physical ache that builds tension in every quiet moment. Part of me fantasizes about revenge, stepping out, feeling desired by someone new, reclaiming my power. But the kids, our shared roof, the drama that could explode. Is it wrong? Or is it justice? The tension simmered, building like a storm cloud on the horizon. I threw myself into school, acing exams while ignoring the void. But one evening, as I studied in the library, a classmate named Alex caught my eye. Tall, with kind eyes and a laugh that cut through the silence. He was everything Mark wasn't. Attentive, genuine. We'd chat during breaks, sharing stories of late-night cramming and life dreams. "You're inspiring, Jen," he'd say, his gaze lingering just a second too long. It started innocently, a coffee here, a study session there. But the spark, electric. My body responded in ways I'd forgotten. A flush of heat at his accidental brush of hands. Was this the revenge I craved? Or a dangerous path? One night, as rain pelted the windows, Alex texted, "Hey, want to grab a drink after class?" No pressure. My heart raced, curiosity mixed with fear. What if I said yes? What secrets would unravel? As days blurred, the abuse at home escalated. Mark's mood swung wildly. One moment affectionate, the next explosive. "You're nothing without me," he hissed during an argument over forgotten groceries. His words landing like punches. I smiled for the kids, but inside, rage brewed. Revenge whispered louder, visions of Mark discovering my own secrets. His world crumbling as mine had. But the horniness? It intensified, a relentless pulse. I caught myself daydreaming about Alex, imagining his touch, soft and exploring, erasing Mark's taint, guilt-warred with desire. The children deserved stability, not more chaos. Yet, in the mirror, I saw a woman awakening, 33, vibrant, deserving more. The turning point crept closer, suspense thick as fog. One weekend, with Mark away on a business trip, I suspected lies. I invited Alex over for study help. The house felt alive, candles flickering, wine pouring. Conversation flowed, laughter easing the knots in my chest. His hand grazed mine, and time froze. "Jen, you're incredible," he murmured, eyes locking. The air crackled. Would I cross the line? Heart hammering, I leaned in, and the world narrowed to that single point of contact. His lips brushing mine like the first raindrop in a drought-stricken land. Soft, tentative, but alive with a current that shot straight through me, igniting every nerve I'd buried under layers of resentment and routine. I pulled back just enough to search his eyes, those deep brown pools reflecting confusion and want in equal measure. "Alex, I can't," I whispered, my voice a fragile thread in the charged silence. But even as the words escaped, my body betrayed me, leaning closer, the heat of him pulling like gravity. Rain hammered the roof like applause for our recklessness, drowning out the distant hum of the neighborhood. What was this? Revenge, escape, or the start of something that could unravel everything? We didn't go further that night, not really. It was a kiss that lingered, a promise unspoken, before I stepped away, heart thundering, and suggested we call it a night. Too much, too soon, I murmured, forcing a laugh that sounded hollow even to me. He nodded, understanding flickering across his face. but the air between us hummed with unfinished business. As he left, his hand squeezed mine, at the door a gentle anchor that made me ache all over again. I watched his taillights disappear into the storm, then sank onto the couch, the house swallowing me in its quiet betrayal. Mark would be home tomorrow, none the wiser, but I felt marked, changed. The longing? It didn't fade. It sharpened, a blade I couldn't sheathe. How long could I dance on this wire before it snapped? The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving, mirroring the fog in my mind. I dropped the kids at school with kisses and forced cheer. Emma chattering about her latest drawing, a family of stick figures under a rainbow. Tommy clutching his backpack like a shield. "Love you, Mommy," he said, and my chest tightened, a vice of guilt. How could I even entertain thoughts of Alex when their world hung in such fragile balance? Nursing school dragged that day, lectures on ethics and patient boundaries blurring into irony. I caught myself zoning out, replaying the kiss in slow motion, the way his fingers had traced my jaw, awakening skin that had gone numb under Mark's careless touch. By afternoon, my phone buzzed. "Alex, last night was... wow, hope I didn't overstep." I stared at the screen, thumbs hovering, a war raging. Reply, ignore? The suspense of it coiled in my gut, every second stretching like taffy. Meanwhile, home was a minefield. Mark returned that evening, suitcase thumping in the hall, his cologne sharp and accusatory. "Missed you," he said, pulling me into a hug that felt obligatory, his stubble scraping my cheek. Dinner was a tense affair, spaghetti twisting on forks like unspoken accusations. The kids' laughter a brief reprieve. But as bedtime neared, his mood shifted, eyes narrowing over a text I hadn't noticed. "Who's this Alex guy blowing up your phone?" he demanded, voice low and venomous. Snatching it from the counter, my blood ran cold. Had I left a message open? No, just a casual group chat from class. But paranoia fueled him. "Study buddy," I lied smoothly, heart slamming. "Group project." He tossed it back, but the seed was planted, suspicion blooming like poison ivy. That night, in bed, he reached for me, his hand heavy on my hip. "Come on, Jen, let's reconnect." Revulsion surged his touch, once familiar, now a chain. I feigned a headache, rolling away, the space between us vast as an ocean. Alone in the dark, my mind wandered to Alex, the fantasy vivid, strong arms enveloping, whispers of affirmation, a connection that healed rather than hurt. The ache pulsed, insistent, a reminder of my vitality, my needs shoved aside for too long. Revenge simmered. Why should he have his secrets while I starved? Days melted into a feverish rhythm, tension ratcheting like a thriller's soundtrack. School became my sanctuary, Alex a gravitational pull. We'd meet in quiet corners of the campus cafe, conversations dipping from textbooks to dreams. "I want to travel someday," he'd say, sketching imaginary maps on napkins. "See the world beyond these walls." I'd laugh, sharing snippets of my pre-mom life, dancing in college bars, fearless and free. His gaze held mine, not predatory, but appreciative, making me feel seen, desired in a way that transcended the physical. Yet the undercurrent thrummed stolen glances, knees brushing under tables. Each contact a spark threatening conflagration. One afternoon, during a rain-lashed walk to class, he stopped under an awning, water dripping from his hair like tears. "Jen, about the other night." I haven't stopped thinking. His voice was rough, vulnerable. I swallowed, the air thick. "Me neither. But it's complicated. Mark." The kids. The confession hung, raw. He nodded, but stepped closer, thumb brushing a raindrop from my cheek. "You deserve more than complicated. the world blurred. I imagined giving in, the rush of surrender washing away the grime of betrayal. But pulling back, I whispered, "Not yet." The yet echoed, a promise to myself. Suspense knotting tighter. At home, the abuse sharpened its claws. Mark's barbs flew freer, criticizing my obsession with school, questioning my devotion as a wife, a mother. "You're changing, Jen." Cold. One night, after a glass too many, he cornered me in the kitchen, breath hot and boozy. "If you think you can just walk away in December, think again. I'll make your life hell. Custody, money, everything." His words slithered like threats from a noir film, eyes wild. I stood frozen, dish towel twisted in my fists, fear mingling with fury. The kids' voices drifted from the TV room, innocent anchors. I nodded, placating, but inside, resolve hardened like steel. I documented all texts, recordings building my escape hatch. But the emotional toll? Exhausting. Nights blurred into tear-streaked pillows, where longing and rage intertwined. Why me? Why now, when freedom dangled so close? The horniness morphed into a deeper hunger for validation, for power. Fantasies of Alex intensified, not just physical, but emotional. A partner who lifted, not crushed. Revenge. It crystallized, not crude payback, but reclaiming my narrative. Yet morality tugged the ring on my finger, vows frayed but binding. The fallout for Emma and Tommy a specter. The breaking point loomed, disguised as opportunity. Mid-November, with finals approaching, our study group fractured, leaving Alex and me alone in the empty classroom after hours. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting long shadows like fingers reaching. We pored over notes, but focus frayed, laughter turning intimate. "You're glowing tonight," he said softly, closing his book. Silence stretched, heavy with possibility. My pulse thundered, graduation 3 weeks away, escape so near. What if this was the moment? His hand covered mine on the desk, warm, steady. "Tell me what you need, Jen." The question unlocked something primal. Tears pricked, confessions spilling. Touch, real touch, not tainted. He rose, rounding the desk, pulling me into an embrace that shattered defenses. His heartbeat synced with mine, strong and sure. Lips met again, deeper this time. The kiss a dam-breaking passion implied in the way bodies aligned. Breaths mingling, the fade of the world beyond. No further, not here. But the implication hung, electric. A line crossed in spirit, if not fully in act. As we parted, flushed and breathless, reality crashed back. "This could destroy everything," I gasped. He cupped my face. "Or rebuild it." Outside, night had fallen, stars winking like conspirators. But as I drove home, phone silent, dread coiled. What if Mark knew? What if this fire consumed me? Little did I know, the real twist waited in the shadows, ready to ignite. The drive home that night was a blur of wet streets reflecting neon signs like fractured memories. My hands gripping the wheel, white-knuckled as if it could steady the chaos inside. Alex's scent clung to my sweater, clean soap and faint cologne, a ghost that both soothed and terrified. What had I done? Not everything, thank God, but enough to etch a line in the sand, a boundary blurred by desperation. The house loomed dark as I pulled in, a sentinel guarding secrets I no longer controlled. Mark's truck sat in the drive, early return from whatever meeting he'd claimed. My stomach twisted. Had he sensed my absence? The kiss replayed in loops, not graphic but potent. The way his breath had warmed my neck, a promise of tenderness I'd starved for. Horniness twisted into something sharper now, laced with adrenaline, a thrill that whispered, "This is power." But power without caution was a fuse lit in a powder keg. I slipped inside quietly, keys jingling like warning bells, the foyer clock ticking midnight's approach. The kids' toys scattered the floor like landmines, Emma's dollhouse in disarray, Tommy's trucks frozen mid-race. Upstairs, Mark snored from our room, oblivious, his phone glowing on the nightstand like a cyclops eye. I peeked in, heart stuttering at the sight of him sprawled, vulnerable in sleep. The man I'd once traced constellations on, now a stranger, his betrayal a shadow over every curve. I showered hot and fast, steam fogging the mirror, scrubbing away the evidence while guilt clawed. For the children, I reminded myself, toweling dry, slipping into bed's cold expanse. His arm draped over instinctively, heavy, possessive. I lay rigid, mind racing, visions of Alex's embrace clashing with Mark's threats. The ache between longing and loathing building like a symphony's crescendo. Sleep came fitful, dreams a montage of chases through rainy alleys, hands reaching, doors slamming shut, morning cracked open with false normalcy. Sunlight slicing blinds like accusations. I brewed coffee strong, the aroma a ritual anchor, while Mark shuffled down, rumpled and demanding. Rough night, he grunted, pouring a mug, eyes scanning me too sharply. Paranoia prickled. Did he smell him on me? Just final stress. I deflected, plating eggs with mechanical precision. Emma's giggles from the table a lifeline. Mommy, can we bake cookies today? She pleaded, chocolate smears already on her cheeks from breakfast. After homework, sweetie. My voice held steady, but inside, the tension coiled tighter. Every interaction a tightrope. Mark lingered, watching as I packed lunches, his silence heavier than words. You're distant lately, Jen. Everything okay? Suspicion laced his tone, a probe. I met his gaze, stealing. Just tired. School's kicking my ass. He nodded, but the doubt lingered, a storm cloud. As he left for work, a kiss on my cheek felt like a brand ownership, not affection. The door clicked shut, and I exhaled, leaning against it. The house sighing with me. School that day was a pressure cooker. Lectures on crisis intervention hitting to close, spotting red flags in abusive dynamics. The cycle of forgiveness and relapse. Irony dripped like sweat down my back. Alex sat to Rose over, our eyes meeting in fleeting electric jolts, each one a mini cliffhanger. Does he regret? Want more? After class, he caught me in the hall, backpack slung casual, but his smile tentative. Hey, about last night. The corridor buzzed with students, a veil of anonymity. My pulse jumped. It was intense. Good intense. He laughed softly, rubbing his neck, a boyish gesture that melted defenses. Yeah, but I get it if it's too much. We walked to the parking lot, autumn leaves crunching underfoot like brittle promises, conversation skirting the edge. Tell me about your dreams. Post-grad, he urged, genuine curiosity lighting his face. I spilled travel nursing, maybe abroad, reclaiming the adventures Mark had grounded. Sounds amazing. You deserve that freedom. His words wrapped warm, validating the woman I dimmed. At my car, he paused, hand on the door. Dinner, neutral ground, no expectations. The invitation hung, suspense in its simplicity. I nodded before doubt could intervene. Tomorrow, pick a place. As he walked away, my body hummed anticipation, a low burn. The horniness resurfacing not as shame, but empowerment. Revenge perhaps, but more, a reclamation. Homeward, the threats echoed louder. Mark texted mid-drive. We need to talk tonight. Serious. My grip tightened. Had he found something? A stray hair? A charged glance in a photo? Dread pooled, cold and viscous. Dinner was a minefield. Kids chattering about school plays. Mark's fork scraping plate like nails on chalkboard. Bedtime stories for Emma and Tommy blurred into autopilot. Their small bodies curling against me, a bomb against the brewing storm. Downstairs, Mark waited, whiskey in hand, face etched with that familiar scowl. Sit. Command, not request. I perched on the couch edge, heart a war drum. I've been thinking, he started, voice measured but edged. This second chance, it's not working. You're pulling away. Irony stabbed him, accusing me. What do you mean? I probed, calm facade cracking. He leaned forward, eyes boring. The late nights. That Alex prick. I saw the texts. Can't wait for dinner. What the hell, Jen? Shock rippled innocent plans, twisted in his lens. It's study, nothing more. Lie tasted bitter. But truth? A grenade. His laugh barked, hollow. Bullshit. You're cheating, aren't you? After I owned my mistake. Rage flipped his affair, his year of deceit, flung like mud. Owned. You destroyed us. And now you threaten me if I leave? Voices rose, a crescendo teetering on explosion. He slammed the glass down, shards of ice scattering. Leave, over my dead body. The kids stay with me. You'll be the villain abandoning mom, too busy screwing around. Words landed like blows. Fear spiking, but fury rose fiercer. I stood, trembling. I'm done, Mark. December. Get used to it. Stormed upstairs, door locking with finality. Sobs racking as I slid down the wood. The ache, overwhelmed now by terror, his threats real. Custody a weapon. But in the darkness, Alex's face flickered, a spark of hope amid the inferno. The next day dawned fractured, mirrors reflecting puffy eyes and resolve like armor. I documented screenshot texts, voice memo his snarls building my fortress. School blurred, focus fracturing until dinner hour. Alex chose a cozy Italian spot downtown, fairy lights twinkling like stars in conspiracy. We met outside, his easy grin disarming nerves. You look beautiful, he said, holding the door, a gentleman in a world of wolves. Inside, candlelit tables murmured intimacy, pasta steaming aromatic. Conversation flowed like wine, childhood tales, fears unspoken. I lost my dad young, he shared, vulnerability cracking his shell. Taught me to fight for what matters. My turn. The affair's shadow, the abuse's grip. Words tumbling cathartic. His hand crossed the table, squeezing. You're strong, Jen. Stronger than you know. The touch lingered, warmth seeping, stirring that deep-seated longing. Not crude desire, but a yearning for connection, bodies and souls aligning in trust. Dessert arrived, tiramisu shared fork to fork, laughter lightening the load. Outside, night air crisp. He walked me to my car. This feels right, he murmured. Close now, the space between us shrinking. Lips met soft at first, then deepening, a fade into passion's embrace. His hands framing my face as if I were porcelain. The world hushed, just us. The kiss a bridge over chasms of doubt, pulled apart by a passing car's horn. Reality intruded. I want this, I breathed. But the risks, he nodded, thumb tracing my lip. One step at a time. Driving home, euphoria warred with dread marks, struck again early. Lights blazing accusatory inside. The trap sprung. Mark paced the living room, phone in fist, my phone, snatched from purse. No. His screen glowed with a photo, us, outside the restaurant. Lips locked, snapped by whom? A private eye. His friend tailing? Slut, he hissed, hurling it at the wall. Glass shattering like my illusions. Fear exploded, kids asleep upstairs, but his rage a live wire. How long? That bastard touching what's mine. He advanced, face contorted, hands balled. I backed, voice steady despite terror. It's over, Mark. For us. But he lunged, grabbing my arm. Bruise blooming instant. You'll pay. I'll ruin you, tell everyone. Fight dirty in court. Struggle ensued. Cinematic chaos, lamp toppling. Shadows dancing wild. I wrenched free, bolting upstairs, barricading the door with dresser, phone dialing 911 in shakes. Help! My husband. Threats. Sirens wailed distant, then near. Red blue lights strobing windows like a thriller's finale. Cops arrived, statements taken. Mark cuffed and seething from the cruiser. This isn't done, Jen. He bellowed, the neighborhood stirring. Alone with uniforms, tears flowed relief, terror, the climax crashing. My secret exposed, not in whispers, but explosion as dawn crept. Emma's cry pierced, Mommy? What's happening? I gathered them close, shielding small worlds from the shatter. Alex texted, heard sirens. You okay? Truth spilled in fragments. His reply, I'm here. Whatever you need. The turning point, not just the confrontation, but the revelation in Mark's eyes, his own guilt mirroring back. The affair's ghost haunting his fury. Revenge, it tasted ash. Unnecessary. My escape ignited by necessity, not spite. But the longing? It evolved, from raw hunger to a deeper call for love untainted, life reclaimed. Graduation neared, a phoenix horizon. Part 4. And in that shattering moment, as the police cruiser's taillights bled red into the night like wounds from a fatal stab, I realized the real thriller wasn't the affair or the threats, it was the unraveling of the life I'd scripted for survival. Threads pulling loose in a frenzy of shadows and sirens. Emma's small hand slipped into mine, her wide eyes reflecting the chaos like tiny mirrors. Tommy burrowing into my side with whimpers that twisted my gut. Daddy's mad, he mumbled, voice muffled against my thigh. And the weight of it, their innocence collateral in this war, crushed me. The officers, stern-faced guardians in the storm, murmured assurances, restraining order pending. Safe house options, a counselor on call. But their words blurred into white noise, my mind a whirlwind of what-ifs. What if Mark circled back, rage unquenched? What if Alex's spark flickered out under this glare? And beneath it all, that insistent pulse, the raw, unyielding hunger for touch. Now tangled with terror, a siren's call in the dark. I bundled the kids into the guest room, barricading with pillows and prayers. Phone clutched like a lifeline as dawn clawed its way through curtains, painting the walls in bloody hues. The days that followed were a high-wire act in a hurricane. Every hour a pulse-pounding sequence from a Noir masterpiece. Mark's release came swift, bail posted by some shadowy family friend. His texts a barrage of venom. You'll regret this, Jen. I'll bury you in court. The kids, they'll hate you. Each ping jolted me awake, sleep a luxury forfeited to vigilance. I crashed at my sister's, a cramped apartment that smelled of lavender and takeout. The kids' laughter forced but healing as we baked lopsided cookies and read stories by flashlight, pretending it was an adventure. School, a gauntlet. Finals loomed like guillotines, but I pushed through, notes blurring with tears. Alex's texts a beacon. Coffee run? You've got this. We'd meet in hidden nooks. His presence a quiet thriller, stolen moments where his fingers laced mine under tables. The brush of his knee a spark that ignited without consuming. I'm scared, I confessed one rainy afternoon, steam from lattes curling like secrets. He leaned in, voice low, cinematic intensity in his gaze. Fear means you're alive. And Jen, You're fighting for more than survival, you're claiming it. His words stoked the fire, that deep-seated longing shifting from desperation to defiance. A subtle heat implied in the way our shoulders touched, breaths sensing like a duet on the edge of crescendo. No more kisses. Not yet, the risk to razor sharp, but the promise hummed. Suspense in every unspoken glance. Yet the shadows lengthened. Mark's machinations weaving a web tighter than I imagined. Whispers from mutual friends trickled in. He'd hired a pie. The same sleaze who'd snapped the damning photo, digging for dirt to wield in custody battles. He's painting you as unstable, my lawyer warned over a hushed call, her voice crackling like static in a chase scene. The affair, the other man, it'll be ammunition. Panic clawed. Cold sweat beading as I paced my sister's balcony, city lights twinkling mockingly below. Revenge. It morphed, no longer a vengeful tryst but a calculated strike, gathering evidence, allies, a fortress of facts. But the horniness? It roared back in quiet hours, a psychological thriller in my veins, body betraying mind with fevered dreams of Alex's hands, mapping uncharted territories, erasing Mark's ghosts with tender insistence. Guilt gnawed the children, the vows, the drama, but desire whispered liberation. A fade to black fantasy where surrender meant strength, not sin. I confided in a therapist, words spilling like plot twists. I feel alive in the wanting, even as it terrifies me. She nodded, eyes knowing. Desire isn't the enemy, suppression is. The climax detonated 2 weeks before graduation. A Friday night etched in thunder and treachery. I'd returned home foolishly, against advice, to grab the kids' holiday toys. The house a tomb of echoes, air thick with abandonment's dust. Keys rattled in the lock like a villain's laugh, and I stepped in, flashlight beams slicing darkness. Heart a staccato drum. Footsteps. No imagination, surely. But then, a creak from the kitchen, deliberate, and the beam caught him. Mark. Silhouetted in the doorway, eyes gleaming feral in the glow, a bottle dangling loose in his fist. Miss me, sweetheart. His voice slithered, low and laced with whiskey, the room shrinking as he advanced, slow, predatory, a panther in the gloom. Time dilated, cinematic slow-mo. My back hit the wall, phone slipping from numb fingers, clattering like a dropped cue. Get out, Mark. This is trespassing. Defiance cracked, but he laughed, bitter, closing the gap. My house, my rules. You think a piece of paper scares me? His breath reeked. Hot on my face, hand shooting out to pin my wrist, echo of that first bruise, but now amplified. Rage a live grenade. Struggle erupted, thrashing, gasps. The flashlight skittering across floorboards, beam wild like a strobe in frenzy. The kids will know what a whore you are, he snarled, knee pressing my thigh. The violation implied in his proximity. A threat laced with twisted intimacy that curdled my stomach. Adrenaline surged, knee driving up in instinct, connecting with a grunt that buckled him. I scrambled, lunging for the phone, dialing with blood-smeared thumbs 911, again as he roared. Lunging anew, fingers grazing my hair like claws. Sirens. Wailed prelude. But the real twist unfurled in his pocket, spilling as he staggered. Photos, printed. Damning. Not just me and Alex, but him with Lisa. Fresh time stamps. The affair reignited. A year-long scar torn open. You're still. Shock rooted me, the revelation a gut punch. His empire of lies crumbling in glossy evidence. He froze, mask slipping, vulnerability flashing before fury reclaimed. Shut up, but cops burst through, tasers humming, cuffing him mid-lunge. The scene a whirlwind of shouts and shoves. As they dragged him out, His eyes locked mine, not hate, but hollow defeat. The thriller's anti-hero unmasked. Jen, please. A plea. Broken. I clutched the photos, trembling, the air electric with finality. Alex arrived minutes later, called by a frantic text, his arms enveloping. As paramedics checked bruises, the fade of chaos into quiet strength. It's over, he whispered, lips brushing temple, the touch a balm, implying depths unexplored but yearned for. In that embrace, the longing crested not revenge's fire, but rebirth's glow. Resolution dawned with December's frost, graduation a triumph wrapped in cap and gown, diploma heavy as vindication, custody hearings blurred into victory's evidence, stacking like dominoes, Mark's threats boomeranging into supervised visits, his affairs ghost sealing his fate. The kids thrived in the new rhythm, my sister's couch temporary, then a sunny apartment blooming with their art on walls, stability woven from threads of resilience. Alex, he stayed, patient shadowed, turning partner dinners evolving to lazy Sundays, touches tentative then trusting, the physical connection unfolding like a long-denied scene, nights where bodies met in whispered consents, emotions the true climax, healing scars with gentle persistence. No graphic blaze, but a cinematic intimacy, silhouettes against dawn, hearts sensing in the afterglow. The horniness? Transformed. No longer a torment but a testament to my vitality, channeled into a life reclaimed. Revenge. Unnecessary. The real justice was freedom, ironic in its quiet power the betrayer left to his mirrors, while I stepped into light. And the lesson, whispered in quiet reflections, betrayal doesn't define you, it refines you. Hold on through the storm, but know when to let go. Your desires, your dreams, they're not chains, but wings. At 33, I learned vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the spark of reinvention. Life's true thriller, the one you author after the credits roll. If you were in this situation, what would you do? Would you seek revenge, chase that forbidden spark, or build quietly from the ashes? Comment below your stories, fuel mine, and subscribe for more gripping tales that hit too close to home. You've got the power, grab it.